Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you might try, but she really wants the chicken. But you're vegetarian.
Remember those three principles we keep coming back to time and time again. Treat people like, respect someone's individuality, and do they have capacity? Okay. And so it may be that Rashmika lacks capacity, and so we have to consider what is in her best interest and what is the least. Okay. And so actually in that situation, the danger is you're going to end up in an argument over whether somebody eats something that's in front of them. Okay? And so again, what's likely to be the least restrictive thing in that situation is allow Rashmika to eat what she's reaching for or she's asking for. Okay? And it's in the person's interest.
Then it can be a conversation with the family, can't it?
Hello everybody, welcome to our live stream. Apologies for the slight delay, but we're live from the Artemis Hospital here in New Delhi. I'm Bhavin, one of Indigo Development's consultants, and it's been a real pleasure to be here over the last couple of weeks. Can I just thank those of you who joined us either last Tuesday or Thursday, and if it's your first time, I hope the next 30 minutes gives you a real insight to the work that we're doing. It is 4 p.m. here in India, so it's either a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening, wherever you are in the world. I do want to thank those people who had watched on Thursday, and actually I've had 2 emails as a result with a couple of questions. So please do email us at info@indigo.co.uk or myself, and I will get back to you. It's also worth stating it's an absolute real privilege not only to be here in this hospital in New Delhi, but to be working with Ed2 Careers really closely as we develop the pre-entrant programme as it stands. So just to give you a little bit of context, in the auditorium, which I'm just outside, we've got 15 candidates. Most of them are nurses who've signed up to this fortnight worth of learning, which in essence is about upskilling them with the knowledge, skills and the behaviours to work in the care sector in the United Kingdom. And one of the questions that I got asked after the Thursday session was, but a lot of these are nurses, so why are we doing X? That's a really good question actually, and let me address it directly. Of course they're nurses and they are trained to a standard which in essence is really high here in India. But we've come to an understanding, having worked with care homes in the United Kingdom, about the cultural nuances and bridging that learning from India right to the United Kingdom. And whereby some of what we do in the UK is not done in India. I'll give you an example. This morning, they've spent time looking at continence care and looking at bed sores. And of course, care homes in India are not as frequent as they are in the United Kingdom, to give you an example. So the trainers have been working with the candidates, looking at bed sores, looking at identification, and really doing it through role play. I also want to mention, because I've been watching this every single day, yesterday we spent some time looking at death. Death as a concept, but then from the break onwards for the rest of the day, the trainers and the candidates were in one of the hospital bedrooms where they role-played what they would do with a deceased person and what's the requirements in the United Kingdom in terms of how we manage, hold, care the deceased. And of course, as nurses, that training will have been given to them in India, but they may not have worked with the elderly as much as they'll be required to do when they are in the United Kingdom, which is why that training was specifically planned in the curriculum. Last week, they looked at the use of a hoist. And again, I watched from the sidelines, and a question was asked, how many of you have used a hoist? And in fact, only one person put their hand up. So again, as trained nurses, they may not have had that level of training, which is why it's planned in the curriculum as it stands. You are going to see a live stream, and the reason I say this is it's not rehearsed. You'll go in, you'll see the trainers and the candidates, and it gives you a reason, if I've got that correct, and they've still got a couple of more days to go. We did have a glitching issue on Thursday, so apologies. the lights were being asked to get turned off and they didn't. But again, we've got to understand that we are using the facilities in a very busy hospital, so apologies for that. And there may be other glitches that happen purely because it's a live stream and nothing's rehearsed. It is as it is. This afternoon, like I said, they've been looking at continence care this morning, but they're looking at feeding and eating and how we manage that. In particular, about how we manage the care delivery to the elderly in the United Kingdom. So I am going to repeat myself. I have mentioned that they are nurses, they will have had that training, but that really bespoke element of what they now do in terms of elderly. And I'll give you a bit of a synopsis and also what happens after this. So today we're back in the auditorium with Jay and with Mark. And I should also mention we've got Chaya. Chaya is based in India. For almost 2 decades, she's worked as a trainer and as a facilitator. So she's supported Mark and Trey, who have got decades of experience working in care homes in the United Kingdom. And amongst the 3 of them, they were able to deliver this training over the fortnight. And like I said, we're on day 7. Just one final thing. In terms of how we approach the learning, there is some theory-based learning which has happened throughout the days, but much is through role play. Like I said, yesterday we were upstairs in a medical room, and the candidates are expected to get up, work in pairs, work in groups, because ultimately they will learn through play. Getting it wrong is absolutely okay, because this is the safe space wherein they are taught to ensure that they are ready for wherever they go, whether that's the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, you name it, but they are ready to ensure that when they do get there, they have the skills, the knowledge and the behaviours to offer that care, which is exactly why we're here. So I think I've spoken quite a lot there, and I hope it addresses some of the questions that were asked of me. You'll come back to me in about 20 or so minutes. We are going to go inside now because it's live. You'll get a snapshot like you have on Tuesday and Thursday. You'll come back to me. If there's any questions, do pop them into the chat box on YouTube, and I'll be able to address them in about 20 minutes' time. All right, let's go in and see what's happening.
What do you call that? Aspiration. Okay. What's the risk with aspiration? Oh, Chitra's gone right in with pneumonia.
Straight for the kill.
Nurses. Okay. Nurses, don't kill me. But pneumonia. Those particles then move through to your lungs. Okay? What does that sound like? How do you... Microphone, where is it? Where's the microphone? No, Alfred did the perfect... Oh, who else is doing the noise? You're all doing the noise.
Go on, Alfred, give it again.
What does it sound like? Louder? Go on. Okay, that wet, raspy breathing noise. Okay, how long after that choke might you hear that noise? Because I might be... Belinda, I mean... very confident Belinda hasn't aspirated, but that cough was about 45 minutes ago. At what point would you think you might see or experience the noise from the aspiration affecting her lungs? You said some. I think you said something. Go on, Chitra. Oh no, but how long after that choke might you hear that noise?
The gap, how much
Yeah,
time?
yeah.
I've choked, and when will you hear that sound? What is the gap after choking? When will you hear the sound is the question. Yeah. 30 minutes.
Yeah, talking about between sort of, I'd say 30 minutes and 2 hours, okay? And so someone might have had that choking episode during their meal, but actually you need to monitor them for actually probably a couple of hours afterwards. What would you do if you heard that noise? Common sense.
Sit there and look.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. And realistically, that person is likely, as long as their TEP form allows it, go to hospital for antibiotics, maybe oxygen. And certainly when people first aspirate, they'll probably come back home again, maybe 3 or 4 days afterwards. But what happens to your lungs once you've aspirated and had that pneumonia? Yeah. Why?
Capillaries were full of the liquid.
Yeah. So actually, those parts of your lungs essentially don't function anymore. And I'm going to, again, nurses, don't kill me. But you get it scars your lungs, essentially. Now, you go back to the care home and you look better and you sound better and everything's normal. But because you've aspirated, what's the risk now? Is that going to be the first and last time you aspirate in your life? No. If I've got a brain injury or I've had a stroke and I have a weakness in my throat, chances are it will happen again and again. And so each pneumonia then accumulates in your system. And so you will end up, I won't colour, it doesn't work that simply, but the scarring accumulates to such a stage where your 8th or 9th pneumonia you can't recover from because the capacity in your lungs is no longer there to function properly.
Yeah, that's where it's really important when we are helping somebody to have some food. The speed of that, because if you're going too quickly, they'll tell you it, you'll hear it, because they'll cough back.
How do you know? How do you know if you're feeding someone or they're eating too quickly? What's too fast? Why is there facial expressions? What are you going to get? Yeah, but what's the face going to tell you? What? Okay, actually, so moving your face away. Yeah, closing your mouth. What other things can tell you that it's your... Yeah, so actually, if they're still chewing on their food, so you can look for that sign too, okay? Or if they've opened their mouth and, like Jay said earlier, they're pouching or pocketing that food and there's still food in there, that actually we need to look at doing something to stimulate them to chew and swallow the food that's already in their mouths.
Sometimes it's just about using your eyes and looking at somebody's face. I don't want it. I do not want that food.
I'd love to know the face that works here to say I don't want any more food. I've not found one that works yet. None of them work.
But that face, if we're looking and we're in tune with what we're doing, you look at my face and you should have concern, shouldn't you? Because actually, if I can't do anything and the only thing I've got left is my eyes and my mouth to talk to you, well, I can't verbalise, then you need to look at my eyes. And then if you're still putting the spoon in my mouth, you're not listening to what I'm saying with my eyes.
So we've established choke on food. What about fluid? Is that more of a risk for choking or less?
The risk of choking is less, but risk of aspiration is increasing.
So you think it's less? What else? Anyone else got a different point of view? Okay, why? Yeah, so why are fluids more high risk than food? Okay, so remember what we said when we talked about how the muscular movement may be slowed down? Fluids move through to your throat quicker. And so they'll reach that point faster than the food will. And so if you have a weakness in the muscle movement or it doesn't seal properly, the fluid will exploit it more. And actually it does, it falls faster. So we'll use something in the UK called thickener. Now, so who has got experience of using thickener before? Just Chitra? Anyone else? Wow. Oh, you're on the spot for everyone now, Chitra. Okay, so thickener, imagine you're making a gravy or a sauce at home and you use flour to thicken the sauce. Flour? Corn flour. Corn flour. All right, cool. Thickener works in a similar way. Okay, so it will make the fluid thicker and it will, depending on how much thickener you add to the fluid, it will turn it from a consistency from thick full fat milk to maybe single cream to something similar to yogurt or runny jelly. Okay, and that's at stage 4. Chitra, how do you thicken fluid when you actually have it all in front of you? What do you put into the glass first? Chitra puts first the thickener in, which is like a powder. Okay. Then you measure the water.
that one have.
Chitra, can you come around here? This is the first time this has happened in about 2.5 years of doing this. Come around here. Oh.
I'm going to sit down.
Yeah. No, I think you're going to get this quite good. Right. Tell everyone. How would you make a thickened drink?
Fluid consistency have some kinds.
Normal, slightly, mild, moderate, and extreme. So,
Keep going.
if normal, as usual, we are drinking the normal water. If slightly thickened, that one consider in fluid consistency for thickener 1 scoop for 200 ml. So we just put the thickener 1 scoop, then measure separately. Take 200 ml of water in the measuring cup, then pour it in one hand, the water, then you have to use the other hand to mix it because prevention of clumpy. Then slightly, then mild, usually for thickener, we go for 2 scoops for 200 ml, same like as shown before we pour. Slightly mild. Sorry.
Okay, so no, the logic is absolutely right. That's brilliant. Why do you put the powder in the glass first and not the liquid?
Because if we have water, if we put the thickener, it's easy to clump already, so
Okay.
the resident will get choke or difficult to swallow.
So, when you get a clump of this thickener, it looks like a little jelly crystal. Okay, what's inside that clump? Yeah. And so what thickener is designed to do, imagine it's like, it just absorbs moisture, is what it does. It's like almost a safe version to eat of the filling in consonants pads. It sucks up moisture. So if you have this clump and it goes in your mouth and bursts, it sucks up the moisture in your mouth, which increases your swallow risk. You're doing really well, Chitra. Have you ever seen carers who have put the liquid in first and added the thickener and it's gone all clumpy? What does the carer do when it goes all clumpy and it's not quite thick enough? Because carers are really clever, aren't they? What do they do? Put more.
Put more, then mix it.
Yeah.
It's by right cannot.
And so they get more clumps, and each of them becomes this little thing. It's like putting dry crackers into your mouth. It's like putting thickener in. And so what Chitra's saying, put the powder in first, then add the measured fluid. That's brilliant, mate. You've smashed that. Well done. Yeah, round of applause. Absolutely right. That's taught this solidly for about 2.5 years here and in the UK. Chitra, no one's ever done that as well as that. That's pretty special. Imagine if you're making sauce at home. Imagine you've got a big pan of your sauce cooking and you just add the flour into it and it will go lumpy. Okay, so most people, you make it thick at the bottom and then slowly add the stock and the water. Corn flour is different because you can mix that up as a liquid, but what you've said, Chitra, is absolutely perfect.
For us South Indians, a great example is upma or uppittu, right? Are you going to pour the water into the rava, or you're going to take water and pour slowly and doing it? The difference, it will still clump up, right? Because there's heat also along with it. So it is semolina. So it's a dish made of semolina.
Oh, I like semolina.
So that putting it into water or the other way, you've seen that lumps happening.
Wow.
And think about it. So if you don't think about getting rid of the lumps, I go and give Belinda a drink, a lumpy drink of blackcurrant. Is she going to drink it? No, of course she's not. And you're just going to take it away, get rid of it. Belinda doesn't want to drink. When in fact she doesn't want to drink because there's lumps in it. So it's really important that we get rid of those lumps and make it appetising. We can use boiled water to make water look clearer to people that are having thickened water.
Although, to be fair, so in the UK, most people drink from taps and not bottles because the water's treated differently. Tap water in the UK, if you added thickener to, it goes cloudy, but actually bottled and boiled water still stays clear. You can use thickener to make hot drinks thicker. If you already have a milkshake that's thick, remember we talked about McDonald's chocolate milkshake earlier today, that's probably already at that mild or second phase thickness, so you wouldn't need to add thickener to it. It's about the consistency that's right for that person. But something that's thickened to level 4 or that really thick, it looks like wobbly melted jelly on the spoon, and actually it takes a long time to support someone to have that drink. That's really good.
Yeah, that is really good.
Yeah. Thickener, we would normally in most care homes it would be locked away. Why? What's the danger with thickener from what I've just told you? If I'm a resident in a care home and you are helpful carers and you keep the thickener by all the kettle and the drinks, what's that thickener going to look like to me?
What would the thickener look like?
It's a white powder in a pot. Salt. It might look like salt. Sugar. Okay. And if I was to just put that in, and again, in my mind, I'm seeing that's something that's safe for me to eat or use in drinks. And if I put it into my mouth as it is, I could really have a serious choke, serious reaction to that there and then. So they're also typically prescribed for people individually as well. So like continence pads, we don't share them amongst people so people don't run out.
Yeah, so please put them away.
Yeah. If someone had enough, instant death from choking is a really significant risk.
You remember either you or your children taking a spoonful of Horlicks or something and just put it into your mouth? Or milk powder, just taking them, put it into your mouth, and your mom comes in and then it's in your mouth, and then it bursts. There's dry thing in your mouth. Can't swallow, can't take it out. We've all done it at some stage.
Yeah.
And it's yum. And in my house, actually, my daughter loves those lumps. So she'll take cold milk, put in it, mix it so that there are lumps.
Oh.
So that it goes into her mouth and she'll chew on it. But imagine that happening with an elderly person. Completely, there's no fun there at all, right?
Okay. But we're not just going to stand here and teach and listen. We're going to go and do something practical. You are all going to have the experience in a moment of being sat down and somebody else feeding you food. Okay? Because I don't think there's who has been fed here themselves. Was it Belinda? Only person here that's had the experience of being fed by another person?
And a good experience at that.
Yeah. So, we're going to go down to the canteen in a moment. And you're all going to be a good carer, a bad carer, and an excellent carer. And you're all going to be a resident at some point. And so, when you're being the bad carer, what we want you to do is just sit up, put the plate or the bowl down in front of someone, get a big spoon, not speak to the person, and just keep putting the food into their mouth. Okay? And you ignore, unless you really believe you're hurting that person, you keep going until that person says stop and taps a hand on the table.
So for you guys that are actually going to be fed, we'll have a few impairments. So you may not be able to hear properly. You may not be able to see properly.
So we're going to do things that mean that you can't hear or see your surroundings as well as you want to. Okay?
So that the sensory change in what you're going to experience may be the same as somebody that you're actually looking after.
The good carer. So we'll go through this when we go downstairs as well. Is that telling the person what there is for dinner and actually being at eye level, so you've walked down the stairs to that person, so actually they can see you when you're talking to them. You're going to be given the choice of how they want to eat it, so with a fork, with a spoon, or whatever that person's asking for. You're going to sit with them and you're going to ask if they're feeling comfortable, but that's all you're going to do. And then as an excellent carer, you're going to talk about how it smells. You're going to talk about how it looks on the plate or in the bowl. And you're going to talk to them about anything else that you think's been going on. You're going to look for signs of discomfort, and you're going to actually stay connected to that person and not divert away while you're supporting them. You're going to, Jay, checking everything with the person. There we go.
Yeah.
So you're going to, each stage, you're going to check they're okay and they're happy. You're going to treat them like they're the king, essentially, and it's the royal experience of dining.
And I think a little bit about the art of conversation when we're talking about anything. So Mark, just grab me 5 different things, anything you like. Because I understand, it doesn't matter what they are. Yeah, 5 things.
Don't break them, because one of these is very expensive.
Is that the book? Okay. So in terms of the art of conversation, so I might just say, let's say I'm with Mark, and we're talking, we're having some lunch, yeah, and maybe I've got a few items around me, so I can talk about these or anything. My God, look at that, Mark. It reminds me of the markings on the road that we see. Yeah, do you remember getting a parking ticket? Yeah, do you remember that? My God. And then after the parking ticket, yeah, I used to do a lot of photography. And when I was doing photography, I'd take lots of pictures. Have a look. Woo, great picture. Yeah. The linking on from that is actually great. I've got some fantastic pictures. Is that you? That's never you. Never. You didn't look like that, surely. Okay, but everything we've got here, I hear you used to like doing invoicing in a company. Yeah? Did you used to write like this? Did you write like this? Everything we've got here, we can link it very quickly. Do you like water?
At the moment, it's all I'm drinking. And that's why we try to have things around the person. It's not just about the food and the drink. It's a few days ago, we talked about what made a dining experience special to you all. And most of you talked about people, company, and the social aspect of being sat with other people. And so this is about the person. And again, treating people like people, respecting who they are individually, is these items being things that connect to me. Because actually, that makes that mealtime experience social. Again, go on. Remembering, if I'm at an early or later stage of dementia, I've probably lost my short-term memory. So I can't remember all of the excellent experiences you've given me at previous meal times. So if you stop doing these...
But there's a training still happening. So we've been doing that for about 25 minutes. Apologies for the slight delay. What we have there is an example of the learning as it happens throughout the whole day. As I said earlier, they've been looking at continence care this morning, but looking at feeding and drinking. And one of the comments that was made last week, and I just want to reiterate, is that these are nurses. Shouldn't they know this? But as you've just seen, as Mark asked one of the questions about thickeners, how many of those candidates knew that? And that's why the learning is evolved and it's adapted to make sure we meet the needs of all the candidates as it is. Now, those cultural differences that exist are really important that the curriculum that we offer addresses it, so that those candidates, when they do come to the United Kingdom or its equivalent, have a better understanding than they may have now. I mentioned Chaya as a trainer and a facilitator, and as you just saw, as I saw having sat in the auditorium, she's able to offer some clarity if it's required. We'll talk about sources, for example, and that may not necessarily be clear to an Indian audience. So Chaya was then able to give her perspective and help ensure that learning was clearer. So the learning throughout the 2 weeks offers those cultural bridges. It adapts, it evolves, it ensures that those learners get the best so that they can provide quality care when they come to the United Kingdom or its equivalent and work in care homes. What happens now, you may have heard this, is they now go and role play this. They're going to go to the canteen into the hospital where they will feed each other. And different scenarios are given whereby some of them will be put earplugs in their ears, some of them will have sunglasses on, which are then blurred, just so that they can feel what it is to be fed in those circumstances. Again, those role plays that I've seen over the last few days have been really insightful and really impactful. And I've spoken to the candidates over the last few days, and they've really enjoyed it. And we know this. I know this from a learning and development background, that learning through and with others is really, really memorable. I've had a great 7 days so far, and we've got a few more to go. And so I have the candidates. Thank you for joining again. Apologies for this slight delay. And I appreciate you may not always hear the candidates just because it's live. So as long as you can hear the trainers and you get a feel, you've had 3 30-minute sessions now. As I said earlier, please do email indigodevelopment.co.uk and our partnership with Ed2 Careers and Artemis Hospital, which I'm eternally grateful for the facilities that they give us, bearing in mind it's a busy hospital. You've probably heard people walking past me and around me, because ultimately it's a running hospital and we can't stop that. So we appreciate the facilities and the work that we continue to do. So please get in touch with us. I'm happy to share any further insights, answer any questions, and look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.